sit idly by while these two titans go to war, and you're not going to end up caught up in the crossfire, then you're absolutely and utterly ignorant at best, a coward at worst, and I think it's most likely cowardice. We're in the middle of the greatest battle that humankind has ever faced, and unless people stand up and actually try and fight hard for good and for God, then we're going to end up in absolute tyrannical slavery.
Yeah. You know, while you're talking right now, it's just making me think. The way you talk, it's like really articulate. It's like really intriguing, and you're well informed on many different topics. So were you always like this? And like, how did you build this? Like, did you read books, or you know what I mean? How did you become so well informed on everything? How did you talk so articulately?
Good question. I don't read books. I'm actually famous for saying I've read one book in my life. In my adult life, I've read one book, and I was in a jail cell. So I had nothing else to do. So I don't read books.
Which book was it?
It was an awful book. I think it was called, I can't remember the name of it. I've told this story before and someone found it in the comments, but it was a terrible story about a UN negotiator, a woman who was in New York, and she had been fired from the UN because she made this big mistake. And then the UN needed her back because she was the best negotiator. Yeah. And they got her back, and they kept talking about, I wish I didn't make the big mistake. And for 2/3 of the book, it's like she's so good at her job, but what was this big mistake? And it turns out she was negotiating between two African warlord tribes, and she ended up sleeping with one of the warlords. Oh, and when you get this big revelation, you're like, oh, so you're just the warlord in the middle of a negotiation? Like, how did that even happen? What
you were so interested, and then you just realized,
like, how charming was this guy? He's a mass murderer. Like, the whole book, it upset me. So no, I don't read books because books are slow, and I think the world we now live in today is about speed. Speed is absolutely and utterly important. Everything must be,
are like this.
Absolutely, and everything must be done as quickly as possible. And Darwin said it, even though I'm not a proponent of evolution. He said it's the most adaptable member of the species that survives. I will change it and say nowadays the quickest member of the species survives. It's not about being the biggest or the strongest, it's about being the quickest, the most adaptable to change. And to read a book is just too many human hours for the amount of information and knowledge you get. So I don't read books. I think they're slow. I think they're a waste of time. I think a lot of it's mental masturbation for people to sit there and say, I want to get smarter, so I read books. Yeah. And I talk to these people, they're not even smart.
Yeah.
I know everything about everything because of my life. Yeah. It's been varied and it's been very difficult. And I'm perspicacious, and I pay attention, and I learn my lessons. And that's how I know everything about everything. I don't need to read books. Yeah. There's not a subject you can name right now where I don't know something about.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed.
Yeah, you name it. Korean War, anything. You name it, I know something about something. That's just what happens when you get to a certain level of intelligence, because you can apply scenarios and
patterns. It's all patterns.
It's all patterns, absolutely. And history may not repeat, but it certainly rhymes. And humanity all acts in a pretty similar way across all cultures. And once you get an X amount of knowledge in one place, you can basically apply it and extrapolate it out to anything.
Anything, yeah. No, and you're right about the reading books thing. A lot of people, there's like this new, like basically they become like self-help junkies, where they're just trying to seek self-help books, and they think to themselves like, I'm doing something productive because I'm reading a book. But actually, you have so much work that you could actually do to actually like implement what the book says. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is with reading a book is it's a reward without any risk. And this is why I think a lot of people are proponents of reading, and they say reading, because nothing can really go wrong besides wasting your time in life, of course, but they don't believe that. I am a much larger proponent of larger risks and larger rewards. If you want to learn about self-help, if you want to understand yourself and see what kind of man you really are, and learn how to fight through adversity, and learn how to get up when life's difficult, and learn how to control your mind, and learn how to struggle, then you can go to the boxing gym. And you can get your ass kicked. You do not need to read any books. Yeah. You need to get in the gym, walk in there, and say, I'm going to fight the best fighter here every single day, and not quit until you can eventually beat him. But most people are not man enough for that. So instead, they'll read a self-help book, and they'll sit there and try and talk to me about mindset. I learned my mindset in battle. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learned in the reality of the real world. Yeah. I don't need to read a self-help book. I don't need to read about motivation or confidence. I've been in the cage smashing people's faces in. I don't need to learn any of that stuff. So I learned in reality, and reality is always going to be a better teacher than a book, because you're not learning when you read books. You're regurgitating. You may be reading, but I don't believe you're truly learning. My coach used to say, if it doesn't hurt, you didn't learn. And I think he's completely right. And it's the same with entire life. You see people make the same mistake over and over again until it eventually goes really wrong. Yeah. And it's only then they'll change.
Then they change.
So absolutely. So I learned how to become self-disciplined and become self-motivated and work hard. And I learned how to face adversity and find strength within myself I didn't know I had, because people were trying to kill me inside of a cage. And you cannot replicate that by reading pages of a book.
No.
So it's a waste of time.
Yeah, you don't need to read about other people's experiences because you have enough of your own.
Absolutely. And yeah, so I'll actually say here right now, I'm a massive anti-reader. I think it's a mistake.
Yeah.
I think as a young man, if you want to get your life better,
Damn.
the most important thing you have are your waking hours. You need to be out competing all the other people on the planet who are hyper competitive. And if you think you have 8 hours to sit there and just read a book, you are wasting your time. You are too slow, and you are going to lose against people like me because we're just too quick, too fast. Our networks are too various and large, and we make decisions too quickly, and we absorb information too quickly, and you're just behind the time.
By the time you're done reading the book, the moves have been made.
But it's over, yeah. Game's over.
Yeah, but I think one good thing about reading books, especially now, especially what you were saying, is because like you said, attention spans are like this these days. When you read a book, you kind of learn to train yourself to like take information a bit slowly. It kind of helps your focus a bit more.
That's true, and we certainly have an attention span problem. Even I have it myself to a degree, but I think that's just the way the world is moving. I think you need to get ADHD, and you need to learn to control it within certain paradigms. You need to be able to sit and say, yes, I struggle to focus on this one particular video, for example, but as a whole, I can keep my focus within the parameters of work, whether I'm watching this video and talking on Telegram and replying to this email and reading this, just do it all at once. I mean, that's what I do. I've had people come into my office and say, are you on a phone call and playing chess and reading a web page at the same time? I'm like, yes. I'll be reading what I need to read and on the phone and at the same time playing chess. Otherwise, my brain's not full enough.
You need to be stimulated.
Yeah. So, yeah, can I focus on one thing? Not easily. But am I massively successful doing enormous amounts of work? Yes, every single day.
Yeah,
so
that's the most important thing.
It's just staying within the parameters of constructive. If what you're doing with your energy is constructive and you're within those parameters, then you're going to be massively successful anyway.
Yeah, no, that's basically true. And about your confidence, is that also from these experiences, or how does one like become this confident? And especially another thing is you seem like, you really love yourself, and which is a good thing. But how does someone go about loving themselves?
I'm proud of myself, and I deserve to be.
Yeah.
Most people don't deserve to be proud of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. A lot of people say, I have confidence issues. And I say, if I was you, I would have confidence issues. Of course. I completely understand why you have confidence issues. You're a dork. But we have to be realistic here. We have to be absolutely and utterly realistic because the world is brutal and it's harsh. If you're not proud of yourself, you probably don't deserve to be proud of yourself, so you're not going to feel happy. And you just talked about confidence. Confidence comes from competence. The reason I'm confident is because I'm good at everything.
Right.
I'm good at everything I do. The things I'm not good at, I'm not confident in, of course. And I know what they are. I don't do them very often. I've now created my reality to the point where I don't do anything I'm not good at.
You just hire.
I either hire or I just don't want to do it. Like I don't play darts.
Yeah.
I'm not good at darts, right? I do what I'm good at. Yeah. So yeah, I'm absolutely and utterly confident because I'm absolutely and utterly competent, and that takes practice and discipline and motivation, and you need to fail a few times. You need to get up. And like I said earlier, when I learned my entire mindset in professional fighting and chess,